Everyone, I guess we can get started. I am Pam Walter, the founder of Map Connected, and I wanted to thank you all for joining us today. We're really excited to start presenting some of our AI use cases that we have been working on. Just wanted to point out that slide that is on the screen. After today, we will also be featuring 2 AI use cases on July 15th, as well as August 12th. And in the same type of format as today, but we will also be presenting two at a time in these upcoming events. Also in August, we are organizing a Technical Assistance Center Leadership Exchange group that is going to be starting in August. It will be a couple virtual events throughout the year and then meeting at the annual summit in October. If there is anyone, there's already 3 OEMs that have signed up for this. Anyone that is interested in the event or letting us know about some of your colleagues, please just send me an email about that and we can get them started. And then just mentioning October 20th through the 22nd is the 5th annual Vehicle Service and Warranty Lifecycle Summit. And added on this year will be a new event that is going to be bringing together commercial fleets and talking about the future of service, repair, and life cycle optimization. Just mentioning really quickly, the My Warranty Network Hub is launched, and we're slowly getting people engaged in there. For anyone that had a previous a membership in the old site, which was more of a private messaging site, please join us in the new site, which is much more engaging and giving everyone an opportunity to start discussions, threads, ask questions. Additionally, nicer for messaging. Everyone has an online profile in there, but if you had an online account before, just put in your email address and just change out the password. Or if you don't find something, then please just register in there for a free account to get started, and then I will communicate with you. Again, this is an event that is sponsored by the AI Service Warranty Lifecycle Management think tank, started this year. And this is the 4th event that we are all getting together. And this is a great event that has been started with the AI sponsors, which are the original members of Circuitry, Synchron, Avant, Upstream, SDI's, Advantage Technical, SAS, and our newest member joining us today for the first time is ServiceNow. So welcome, ServiceNow. Just reminding everyone the purpose of why we started the AI SWLM think tank was really to identify AI applications, to provide a platform for collaborating and fostering partnerships directly between our manufacturers and our AI sponsors, and to also provide a collective resource together to offer resources and training. And we are really thrilled to have met at Bridgestone in Nashville earlier in May, and we now have 5 AI use cases that we are looking to promote. And really, this is what we need now is a champion from the manufacturing side to help us bring innovation to life. We are looking for one or multiple companies to champion a proof of concept, and you'll see. Today, we are covering a focus on call centers, technical and dealer contact centers. We have an AI use case on warranty adjudication of claims, smarter maintenance. We have an early warning scout and a digital signature for 12-volt battery failures that we are going to present back to you all in the next 3 months. So just want to introduce the first AI use case. This is going to be delivered by Circuitry AI and Bridgestone and Ford that work together to create this case in Nashville. So I hand it over to Ted to go ahead and start the presentation. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Pam, and thank you everyone for joining. I know it's a busy time and you're cutting time out of your day to join the meeting. My name is Ted Danner. I'm with Circuitry AI, but I want to introduce our other participants. And that is also Angela Schumacher. She's with Bridgestone. She's an ops manager, market assurance and warranty for corporate quality. And we have Al Carragay, and he is a Ford warranty engineer. Glad you guys are here. So to tee us off, what did we start with? What are we doing here? So as Pam mentioned, we got together in May and we identified key things to attack from a standpoint of setting up an AI proof of concept. And what are we focused around? We're focused around specifically the project outputs, which is AI-driven claims optimization and AI-powered guidance and support. One thing we believe in is to have your participation in this meeting. So I'm going to start it out, or we're going to start it out with a quick question for you guys to add to the chat. So for each of you, send us over the chat one business challenge you're looking to solve via the opportunity of AI. And a lot of these will be around just normal blocking and tackling in warranty. And if you guys could submit those, we'll address some of those and we'll roll those up certainly at the end to feed that back as some output of this meeting as well. Excellent. Pam, if we could go to the next one. Thanks. So a brief introduction, and we won't spend a ton of time here, but Circuitry AI is an AI native company offering AI solutions. It's about the claims automation and automation to customer care and just process automation in warranty. None of this requires a new system. We layer AI on with your current existing infrastructure. As you probably read and heard about or may know a lot about, it focuses around agentic AI solutions, analysts, advisors, and agents to be very specific. We have decades of warranty experience in the SaaS space before this, but also specifically with OEM warranty. I've been at it a few years here. You can see some of the gray hair. but my role today is Senior Director of Automotive Warranty AI Solutions, 24 years with Nissan doing OEM warranty service contract, and also independent TPA or third-party administrator for service contracts. To give you a little flavor that all of us come to this discussion with a good bit of expertise and experience. And Pam, if we could go to the next one. So we're going to dive into what the business challenges are here. And don't worry, this will be a lot of discussion and talk and less on PowerPoint other than a few slides to kind of map things out for us and guide us. So from a business challenges standpoint, we covered a lot of ground. You can see that was in the intro to, how to supercharge your operation with AI in the opener there. But we covered a lot of ground, specifically focusing on call efficiency, the time, if we're talking about claims as well, first time pay rate, accuracy, adjudication. It's also about, hey, how do we plug in? I mean, these are the challenges that came out of our work group. Insufficient automation of customer handling and, of course, claims. How do we handle staffing capacity, the costs, and how do we best allocate our resources? We all deal with and dealt with excess anomalous claims. I'm going to use that term rather than fraud because it can be inside of that. It can just be out of line issues going on with some of our repairs. We understand that. But also suboptimal supplier recovery, lower quality of claims data, long cycle time to detect and correct quality issues. We also talked about and attacked the NTF or no trouble found type of claims that can be pervasive as well. And a big one on the personnel side, we're all pretty familiar with this, knowledge loss due to talent turnover. I thought we'd dive in with a few questions and perhaps Al and Angela can dive in with some of their thoughts. So we spent some time together in May and we outlined a lot of things. We covered a lot of ground. From what are your thoughts? What are the primary issues focused around the case study? And we can go in and attack some of that. Didn't know if you want to chime in, Angela or Al, on that.
I can just focus from my perspective. The biggest thing was understanding how to automate some of the transactional pieces, things like collecting part number and the information regarding that part, so that the agent or the person doing the support kind of has all that information right there in front of them without having to look up different pieces of information, allowing them to kind of focus their time or their interaction on the non-transactional, meaning things that might be a little bit gray. They may require some additional or question and answer.
Makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate that, Angela.
Yeah, Ted. And then, from my perspective too, because I'm actually a little more downstream, kind of in that life cycle of the warranty claim. At least in my role today, I look at warranty through that warranty share lens, but I've also looked at it through, the root cause lens, the operational lens. And, when I look towards the repairers or the dealerships that are conducting these warranty repairs, a lot of the issues that we face downstream, there's a lot of opportunities that can happen, at this very point in time. Obviously, quality at the source, preventing the claim from happening to begin with is, our top priority. But in those cases when it does happen and we have a failure in the field, how do we really leverage the data that comes out of that first initial contact or that first initial signal coming from the customer's vehicle to, not only get that customer satisfied, but also for those of us downstream that are more on the operational side, how do we fully leverage that data and make sure that we're continuously improving our processes?
Yeah, I love that. And one of the offshoots of that topic was, no trouble found claims, for example, and how to look at that. I've got some thoughts on that, but what else might you be thinking about from places we've stubbed our toe on NTF claims in the business, and any of your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think especially from my perspective, I think you hit the big one, the anomalous claims. The ones that have maybe incomplete information, or the rationale isn't very clear behind the reason for the repair. The NTFs, they'll always continue to exist, but the continuous learning and the continuous accumulation of information not only helps us on the OEM side to become better problem solvers, but looking at a solution like we're going to look at today, it's developing almost that like continuously improving workshop manual for the dealers, and our hotlines and our tech centers, making sure that they have the latest and greatest available, when they are interfacing with our customers.
Yeah, that's great, Alan. I appreciate that. Some more on NTF and some of the notes we took on these no trouble found claims. We talk about AI being able to improve efficiency and a lot of those high level aspects. Okay, great, we love it. But as we dive in, we're attacking, and as we did in our proof of concept, was diving into specific pieces and kind of outlining them. As far as the NTF, it's digging the specific criteria that could cause a claim like that. So when we have something, is it something routine on a, I say routine. Some NTFs non-trouble found claims can be routine, and some of them can be pointing at something very drastic. So I think it's adding that logic layer on top of those, on top of that AI view to say, hey, is this a vehicle that was just launched? Is it 3 months in service and we want to see what's going on there? Is it later on and toward the end of warranty? What's happening there can be could be long-term quality signals. And one thing we touched on in the meeting was, and I think Angela and Bridgestone had kind of brought this to the fore. I mean, it's all in our space, but it's digging in to be able to see when there's one claim, even down to the point of a single claim, NTF or anything else, being able to see a signal there. Of course, looking at every claim, AI can help us go faster in that, but putting criteria around what is important with that claim that could make it stand out, and then we'd want to flag it and have AI raise its hand, so to speak, and tell us about it. I think that's one of the things we touched on there as well. A good one that we touched on also was, and this is a question to us here, what do you find as the most important opportunities around measurable outcomes for an AI pilot or a POC implementation? What are some of your thoughts there? So I'll start out, and you guys will have some ideas as well. I mean, there's the basics from a contact center, and it's the SLAs. It can be on the phone side, average handle time, certainly average case time. How fast can we get calls and claims done, submitted, whether they're submitted on the system, and I'm talking the claims side, or on customer contact. How do we handle those faster, more efficiently, and more thoroughly? And as we know, we can call that first contact resolution. So I think we had some of those ideas to be very specific around this. And to be clear, to put this in a, excuse me, in a big box. On this POC, we've covered, or proof of concept, we didn't just hone in on one piece. A few times in our discussions, we were like going down and deep on one piece, and we did that, but we also found, hey, what about claims, and what about supplier recovery? And that's why we're talking about it here. And to frame this out a little bit better, at the end of this meeting, we'll talk about who wants to try a proof of concept, or who wants to think about it, and then we can talk further down the road who would want to try that. But just being able to dig into that from a lot of specific pieces rather than just one single piece. It kind of makes it very interesting to be able to cover this. Did you guys have any other thoughts? I know, Angela, you do a lot of contact center, and you've probably got some hot buttons you're solving or trying to solve. and wonder if you might be able to speak to a couple of those hot buttons.
From a contact center, it really is being able to utilize the right staff for the different concerns. So you're able to allocate the right people to support, like for in our case, dealers, as opposed to kind of getting in the weeds, trying to redirect people to the right departments. The other ability is to tie that information out. Again, you think in terms of transactional, pulling all the information together so that they can provide the caller or dealer the information in real time. The biggest thing when you think of contact centers is, hold times, abandonment rate, length of time on the phone. All of those things essentially get eliminated, or at minimum, reduced significantly once AI starts to not only do that transactional piece, but it can also start to recognize specific responses. So over time, it learns that, it can go ahead and answer additional information beyond maybe just policy, or maybe beyond just part information. Since it starts to kind of recognize the human response and learn that strategy, it slowly kind of builds from there. So again, from a contact center, you think about availability, you think about staffing optimization. You're now able to manage, 5 or 6 calls at once, because most of them are handled automatically. The call center never even gets engaged. And then in the cases where it may be unclear on a response, should it be this or that? Once the agent kind of confirms the right approach, now the AI learns that logic. And again, it starts to deal with those specific types of calls. So it really is trying to find a way to, at the front end, eliminate, or, we talked about like pre-qualification, we talked about things like that, so that when before they even get to the right step, they've already been given the information, the training, the clarification. They've got all the information in front of them, and it's much more efficient in that regard.
That's great input and very practical. From your standpoint, and also Al's, and I'll chime in. There's approach we take from an AI standpoint. It can be augmentation. In other words, the people crew, the personnel, the team can be assisted through call handling with information at their fingertips in a broader sense, diagrams and warranty coverages, or any other details can be there at their fingertips to speed the human along in an augmentation look. And then there's also automation where the generative AI can speak to the person, to the customer, to the dealer that's calling. Do either of you have a vision or an initial preference on what that ramp up would look like? I'm just kind of, we talked about it a little bit, but didn't know if you had a preference on that, because I think no matter what we do in this space, and this goes for everyone, is it's human in the loop. We don't cut the machine loose and hope it does everything right. We got to train it, as you said, Angela. Do you guys have further thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of our conversations, when we were building out this proof of concept, or at least the conversations coming from my side, kind of stemmed around more of that organizational aspect, right?
Yes.
Using I suppose, you look at a lot of the systems that are out today that a lot of companies use, it's heavily kind of rooted in just these very discrete, very linear business rules. It's very binary decision making. And when we look at a solution like this one, it's taking that concept, but it's adding that extra level of intelligence on it. So you do have that generative aspect. So you do have that continuously improving aspect. But then kind of when we focused back in on more of the technical center or the call center perspective, it's about also kind of empowering the human, both in the call center, but also the human that's, at the dealership or the repair center. and enabling them to self-help as much as possible. Some of the concepts that you had mentioned, collecting that data in the background as they progress through the self-help material, delivering the right diagrams or pinouts or pinpoint procedures, making sure that that information is ready for the person when they need it. It really just helps with that efficiency, but it also helps enable their confidence to submit that claim properly and address any discrepancies up front before it even comes through. And then for the call center employees, it's about making sure that their talent and their resources are directed to the ones that need it at that moment. Really cutting out some of the more routine kind of repairs, enabling the self-help to really let the technicians be creative and really optimize their repair. And then when they do really hit an actual barrier or roadblock, it's already got all this information ready for the call center, so that once they're connected, they're ready to go.
And I want to add one thing to that, because a part of the eligibility is the word I use. It's a little bit different in maybe other areas, but part of the issue with issue, I forget what you guys NTF, right? Or in our case, tires that come in with a condition without the condition alleged. The big takeaway to that is on our side, right? It is essentially wasted effort, right? Because you've either got an engineer or an inspector spending all this time looking at a part or tire that doesn't actually have an issue. But at the same time, that team doesn't have any way of necessarily training the person who's sending that information in. So one of the opportunities that the AI-powered assistance is not only the ability to just kind of check, in my world, policy, right? Does it meet that criteria? But it also has the ability to walk through maybe some photos. So one of the examples, I know even Al and I spoke a little bit about, was, and now you can correct me, but it's like headlights, right? In some cases, the issue or concern is fine, just like in my world, right? Cracking. Sometimes it's a aesthetic issue. It's not, doesn't have anything to do with the tire condition. And other times it does. So one of the things that we've looked at is the ability to kind of have photos. It's kind of like the eye chart at the doctor's, right? Is it better or worse than this? Better or worse than this? And it gives that person not only the ability to kind of learn what may or may not be an issue, but again, it eliminates the noise coming in, so that when not only does it minimize the call center people, but it minimizes the amount of noise coming in the back end, where now engineers or inspectors are looking at parts or tires that do not have a condition.
Yeah, that's a great point, to not look, let's make sure we're looking at claims that there's something going on. In your case, if it's a tire return for a warranty issue, that you're not wasting time with an engineer cutting it up and doing a ton of analysis to be like, yeah, we have a tire here and it didn't have a particular issue. So yeah, that's good to be able to sort through it. Yeah, the whole picture. Oh, go ahead.
If I could just really quick jump in, because Angela kind of sparked a thought on my end too, and you kind of alluded to it a couple minutes ago. But even in the adoption of a solution like this, really any AI tool or system that might get adopted, whether in personal life or in our work life, there's always a lot of hesitancy around that. And when you mention like the human in the loop or the human augmented AI solutions, that's, at least when I've, in my own personal experience interacting with AI tools, like the Geminis of the world and the Chat GPTs of the world, I went through that same cycle, the hesitancy, the reluctancy, and even, today with the models that are out today, there's still the hallucinations in the models. There's still that factor of having to, double check your data. But, both you and Angela kind of brought up, echoes of the same point, which is the continuous learning of those technicians, the continuous learning of the call center analysts, using the technology to almost build in these feedback loops so that they're always upskilling their knowledge, so that they're always kind of consuming the latest and greatest trends that are happening out in the field so that they can assist in the most efficient way.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point, Al, and you bring it home on that regard. I mean, it's the feedback loop. AI is built that way to keep training. We say in the industry, train AI. Well, it doesn't just, you turn it on, it works. It's got to have the process, your process in front of the programming. It's got to have your rules and the warranty coverages and you know, dealer names and op codes and diagnosis codes and symptom codes and on and on and on, all the stuff we love to dive into. It's got to have all that. And a interesting side note there, by training on your specific data, there's times a solid answer cannot be given, and it's up to us to set up the system right, meaning in this space, set up the system right so it doesn't give an hallucination answer, something that's just totally wrong. In this space, it's fine to say, can't locate the proper answer, or there's conflicting answers in the data that would be from the automotive OEM. Great, let's call it what it is. If it can't be answered straightforward, then that's fine. And what's good is, and what you said is, it will train. So if on a particular component with this particular symptom and diagnosis code, well, tell me what's broken, and there could be 5 things, right? So it's not, will not be able to tell if there's not enough data there. But based on this and this and this, you can drill down, and then there's the symptoms for this one and more of the diagnosis on that, and eventually it'll train down just like a person would to be able to handle it. So yes, building in that feedback loop really helps to train things, because humans it can train itself, understood, but with people in there, especially the experts that have been doing claims, that are good at it for 2 years and been doing it for 25 years, they can help train it just as they would a new adjuster, a new warranty agent, which gives it a lot of strength and a big approach. So also, we had some thoughts or questions around, and this is where we'll dive in. We've covered things at a medium level, diving in on SLAs, excellent. But maybe one of the keys is, what are your thoughts around productivity and efficiency gains? In other words, if you're deploying AI into your space, whether it's the call center, claim center, tech line, helping with claims, what would you want to see in improvements? And maybe we'll couch it that, hey, let's be realistic in a proof of concept, and you do something for 3 months, it's not going to have a full effect that it would over several quarters. Okay, we understand that, but where would you want it to go in improvements? And what are your thoughts there, Al or Angela?
I'll start with the higher level, and then Angela can kind of jump in for the more more intimate details of the call center. But at least, when looking at it from just the claim perspective, it's kind of that standardization and the quality of information that you get from that claim. One of the things that we talked about during our club study was, real data. So not just the user story, not just the technician story, but real data signals, real measurements, real information that not only helps to prove out the claim, but it also helps the problem solvers downstream that, will be dealing with, why did this claim happen? How do we correct it for the future?
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, I think that's essentially it. It's that calibration. It's making sure that the same information is provided so that the process or whatever is clear to the user.
Excellent. 2 things popped out of me, and it's part of our discussion today, but it's also part of our discussion when we built out the proof of concept was, and you touched on it earlier, Al, you said, hey, there could be a lot of binary decision making that's programmed into our current system. Does this VIN match one that is still under warranty, and it's our VIN, and a lot of all those very basic things. There's other components, so we can already do that well. We could do that well. Pick your year, 10 or 20 years ago, you can program in the system, is the starter covered, under 36 or 60, well, typically under, base warranty. Yes. Okay. We can already handle that. But as we know, there's all those other layers inside of a claim that's going on. Well, true, starter's covered, or pick your thing, an engine mount is covered. But interestingly, if we pull in other data, whether it's automated or augmented to the agent, you can say, hey, you know, this store that it's coming from, some reason every claim for the last week or two has had an engine mount on it. You know, 89% of every claim they've had has an engine mount on it. Sure, engine mounts are covered, just pay it. Well, hang on a second. By incorporating whatever that dealer performance is, can help us get a handle on if that's truly the case, or it requires an extra look where it could be kicked out to the person, to the adjuster or agent to go look at it, or have a deeper inquiry, you know, at the store, or a picture, or asking more questions. So I think that's where we get past, that's an example of how we get past that binary view on, you know, is this a part covered? Is it still under warranty? You know, is this the right car? You know, all the stuff we already know how to do. How do we go deeper in that just to see what's going on? That same type of scenario can also help us on the quality side where something unusual pops out. So it's the opposite. You know, we can see a dealer that's doing some over repairs and maybe we're paying claims, or maybe we need to ask more questions. Great. You know, plugging in AI can help us see a lot of that. But if it's something else that is not typical, AI can say, you know, perhaps a system or a person will be like, well, okay, there's a thermal incident. Okay, all hands on deck. We know that wouldn't be something normal, but let's say it's something smaller that might fall in. Hey, we got a catalytic converter issue on a newly launched vehicle, and this, that, and the other, or you know, a battery, of course, a battery issue on an EV or something going on. And we're like, hold it right there. Yes, we'll process the claim, but we got to raise our hand on that and flag it through the AI programming to have us understand what's going on quality, perhaps on a newly launched vehicle or something down the road. I think that's where AI gives us an extra leg up there. Just some thoughts there that came out of some of our discussions. Yes, also, so I've got another interesting one. Angela and Al too, you guys talked about, hey, when a call comes in, how do I handle it? Or a claim comes in, how do I handle it? What are some of your thoughts? And there's kind of two pieces to this. You can have claims validations that are normal. I say normal, that can be programmed in and kind of be binary. What else would you want to see from an AI perspective? And a second piece of that might be, is there a best way to triage those calls or those claims that AI might help us with? I didn't know if you had some thoughts on that.
I think the biggest thing is the ability to recognize some trends. We talked a little bit about that. One example in our world might be things like goodwill. So if we're having a certain number of people calling in and the condition is very similar or aligned, using that information to flag something that might be worth reviewing in terms of policy or training needs. You know, again, it's more the ability to kind of capture that tribal knowledge. It's more the ability to be consistent across the board. Those are the big things I think that jump out.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. So this is another good one, but what value do you see in leveraging the historical data? And that could be purely on the claims side. As we know, we'll all conduct audits on occasion. So it can be historic claims, past audits, and even some unstructured stuff, unstructured data. What I mean by that would be claim notes, technician notes, even ROs from the stores. What else do you see? What other opportunity do you see there, or what limitations have we had in the past? Didn't know if you guys had some thoughts on that.
I think during one of our conversations when we were building out the POC was kind of around even almost supercharging that like dealer network, right? one thing we talked about is the technicians at the dealerships. They will always find a better, faster, and cheaper way to do a fix than we have it published in any service manual out there. And being able to leverage that information, straight from the field, straight from people actually with their hands on the vehicle, up against this timeline to deliver the vehicle back to their customer that's already pissed off. The ability to take that data, cross-reference it with the existing official resources, find those signals that we can flag to say, hey, maybe this is a lower cost opportunity to get our repairs done quicker, to make sure that we're not creating those over repairs or those excessive parts replaced. Hey, dealer B, dealer A found out that you don't have to drop the whole subframe. You could maybe rock the engine mounts forward a couple inches, and we're saving a couple hours off of every job. These are the things that really could help even really bolster like the social aspect and the continuous improvement aspect for the technicians that are actually doing the work and actually doing the repairs.
Yeah, that's pretty great. We've seen some of that, just like you said, on a subframe replacement. I've seen it in the past on the squirrel cage blower inside the dash. Hey, we got to take the whole dash apart, and as you know, from our standpoint, we run the risk of rattles and taking apart a dash and all the things that could come out by taking apart a newer car that we don't want to do. Feedback from the store, such as on an audit, it brings it to mind that very creative technicians found a way to go in through the glove box and not have to disassemble the whole dash. So I love that. That is so real. And that's feedback that sure can get fed back in manually today. But as we see that even in unstructured notes, AI can look at that audit information, collate it, and say, okay, on that particular subframe repair, there's the book way and then there's this way. Both get paid, both make sense. Maybe one is, like on the dash thing, one can risk having if the store isn't careful, have a rattling dash, and let's say that's 6 hours or 8 hours repair versus a 1 or 2 hour repair. All that learning, AI can be trained on that from an audit results or outside notes. And maybe that leads us to another piece that can be a real eye-opener. A lot of times unstructured data, and what I mean by unstructured data, again, will be notes, the 3 C's like complaint, cause, and correction. It can be notes on a phone call or a chat. A lot of times, sure, we can pick out some keywords and see what's going on in there. AI can give structure to those entire conversations. AI can give structure to what's going on with the 3 C's and does it make sense and does it line up, to give us extra view on what's happening and help us utilize that unstructured data that a lot of times we deal with it through basic programming on our current systems, or of course the human eye looking at this going, wow, I don't think that all lines up, or whatnot, that as you said, Al, binary programming might miss. So that whole unstructured data piece, and we touched on it from audits and tech notes, we touched on it from that standpoint, can now be better leveraged. And some of you are doing this now and some aren't, but this type of thing, AI opens that door to that piece and something new. Okay, so Angela, you talked about, and we can all chime in on this, you talked about, and this is another unstructured piece, but handling pictures. And you can see we've gone from a high standpoint in this POC discussion of, hey, let's drive efficiency and let's triage calls, claims, any contacts. That's fantastic. But with that, and with your knowledge and our knowledge in this, we're able to dive in deep on some things. So from a picture standpoint, perhaps, how does AI open the door on better picture analysis? Angela, you really kind of started hitting on it earlier, versus a human review or no review. Didn't know what your thoughts on that might be.
I think there's both scenarios. Utilizing photos, let's just say in the most basic terms, where a user, they have the ability to kind of upload that information and capture that information There are benefits in terms of process to start to recognize what those conditions are based on previous acceptance, right? So really is just more of a lookup, right? It's more of a reference material. I think future state, there's the ability to use AI to recognize whether or not it meets that criteria. I don't know that we're there yet, but I think, ultimately pictures will become, useful in different ways, whether it's, calculating tread depth measurements and validating the information on the tire, for example, so that it's eliminating, again, transactional pieces. There's a lot of different opportunities that can kind of come out of that. Just kind of depends on what level. So whether it's just an efficiency piece or whether it's truly using that photo technology to validate whether a condition exists.
Yeah, that's great. And it's like, as we see it, there's a couple pieces there, and you started hitting on it. It's just data that can be seen or taken from a picture, such as some basics, date, when the picture was taken. So, hey, there's a claim, there's a store that has a car today or came in yesterday. This picture says 2 weeks ago. Hang on a second. We got something going on. We need the real picture. We need the real car, such as an example on that on a claim. So it can look at date, time, location. If it's a fake picture, if it's a duplicate, it can scan your system like, oh man, that same transmission picture has come in 20 times from a particular store. Well, ideally we'll catch that, but AI helps catch that straight out of the gate. Or an internet picture, something that was downloaded that isn't an original picture. So a lot of this ability and technology is part of the AI suite that we bring to the table. But I love what you said about the condition. That is the ultimate AI training. And if you're talking about in your case, talking about tread depth, that is something I won't say it's easy. AI is trained on, and it can look at the tread depth. Is it worn on the inside of the tire, the outside of the tire, the middle of the tire? A lot of those things, at least perhaps if it can't today, like today's version, go all the way through and decision a tire claim, okay, but it can be trained to as it goes step by step on what those conditions look like, such as training it on what an overheat condition looks like when the head is taken off, and here's what it looks like. It can be trained to be able to handle that. So that's where it can augment what the person is doing to help them with their decision, or longer term, and longer term isn't very long, a few months, be able to train it to actually look at those conditions. So very interesting there. Did you guys have any other thoughts before we move on and move on to our next couple slides and wrap up?
No, I think I'm good, Ted.
Excellent. Pam, if you could go to the next one. So getting real specific, we had some specific output that we were saying, hey, if we do this, what's going to be the outcome? What's going to be the output? So specifically our outcomes that we defined, and we actually had more than these, but we cut them down to make this so we could swallow this in our hour discussion. Reduce call volume by 20%, on the call side, and increase automated claim throughput. Absolutely, we can assign a percentage there. Depends what that looks like. Scale up capacity without increasing headcount. So that's great, from a call center or a claim handling center standpoint. As we know, if we launch a campaign or we launch a recall, we can have those giant call and claim spikes, and to have extra AI automated agents put in place can help smooth that out for the team and the people, and be able to handle things quicker for the stores and number one for the customers. And then automating claims up to 90%, and first time pay rate by 15%. So we wanted to put some numbers around that. Some of you might be like, hey, my system already is doing 98% of the claims. Sure, maybe it is, but then I might challenge all of us, that is it looking at those secondary metrics, what's happening with the store. Sure, all the part number matches and it's the right VIN and it's not out of coverage and it's not a repeat repair from last week and all that. System can check some of that stuff, or maybe all that stuff, of course. But is it looking at what is the propensity of that store to do a certain repair, and are they in line or out of line on this? So it's putting that extra layer of look on it from AI standpoint. Also reducing excess warranty by 1 to 5%. I personally had my eyes on clients that have a lot more than that at stake by plugging in AI, and it could be a lot more than that. Our job today really isn't to talk about just reducing warranty, because we're here about the quality and servicing the customer and turning around claims promptly. Of course, that's our mission. But keeping track of the money is in our warranty reserves is an important piece. If you could hit the button one more time. So strategic impact, some of the higher level view we took on this was, set a warranty ops roadmap of what the AI implementation looks like, and we'll close with that in a second. Improve operational efficiency and cost reduction. So now we're at the high level, what this looks like. Enhance that accuracy, fraud detection, perhaps I should have said again, anomalous claim detection, and supplier recovery. When we have more accurately done claims all the way through, if we've missed stuff, then we're not getting enough supplier recovery. If we've paid out too many claims that shouldn't have been paid, which can happen, our supplier recovery won't be more. I mean, could be more, but then it'll be inaccurate, and then our suppliers can end up charging us more for those components. You can see how all that wraps together. And then one that we didn't touch on, guys, but I thought of it as we went through this, was simply increase lifespan of current systems infrastructure. So some of us have new systems, meaning OEM-wise. Some have 20-year-old systems. That's fine. RAI in particular can plug in. It's system agnostic. So last piece on that, Pam. And then next step is choose a proof of concept option. We covered the ground on, from call center and call handling, contact handling, case handling, claim handling. So it's kind of picking what piece you want to break off and go for. And then one we never skip on is change management. It's aligning the leadership, aligning and getting buy-in from the leadership of the company, as well as the frontline SMEs that will actually make it work. Because we can assign whatever we want out there. If it's not trained on the data and trained on your knowledge, it becomes a much less functional tool for you. If we could go to the next one. And Al and Angela, if you want to jump in on any of this, feel free. How we map this, and I kind of took what we did in our proof of concept and put it together. So we can see the project would take 90 days to 120 days, depends on the complexity, but it'd give OEM a great view on trying out proof of concept, driving that ROI. Is what's it look like piece by piece. Train on your data, train on your information, train on your coverages, train on what you're doing in your claims. Target that specific use case, and sure, we can break off, meaning any of us can do this, break off and try more than one proof of concept, but to keep it in one piece, it's going to drive handling a pain point or a bigger ROI, or a large ROI is the way to start. And then back to the change management. If you can hit the other button there, Pam, and we'll go quick here. So the next step is integrate and train it, train AI intelligence to support for your support teams and your claims teams. Even granularly begin with a regular warranty, then move into the more complex powertrain claims and perhaps EV claims as well. Identify target, I'm getting real specific here. Like we said, we'd start high and go all the way to the drill down. Identify target component groups, operation codes, symptom codes, diagnosis codes, and or claim limits, how that gets assigned and how that gets handled. Address challenges, resolve the technical questions. Any other data or processing is just a piece of the setup. If you could hit the third and fourth button there. Thank you, Pam. And then phase 2, deploy the specialists. So this is what the roadmap looks like. Deploy the agents, advisors, analysts, get the claim automation. And I also said augmentation going, test. And as Al and Angela said, iterate and improve in that training. And then complete the POC to validate what that POC looks like and what that opportunity looks like and what improvement it drove. If we can go to the last and closing slide on this. So as Pam said at the very beginning, we're going through this whole fun AI process to specifically define things that particular targets, proof of concepts that you can try, you can break off. And that was one of the things Pam said last week. She's like, we need to have people, who's ready to launch this and try this. So make sure you contact Pam or contact me, and we can show you go in more detail, what the roadmap would look like, and in deploying what it looks like. So I have my information there. I've got the QR code. And lastly, at the bottom of that page, I say simple, it's relatively straightforward. It's, of course, meet and set focused and tight proof of concept, what that'll look like. And then so getting even more specific, non-disclosure agreement, set up a $0 PO to get started, of course, and then share the data. So, and that could be a pretty tight amount of data. It can be hosted on your side. It could be hosted on your side depending on your InfoSec requirements. So just to take it from what it looks like, what we came up with, and what it could be for you, we wanted to cover the full gamut there. Angela or Al, did you have any other thoughts or questions as we get close to wrapping up here?
Nope, nothing from me, Ted.
I'm good.
Okay. I'm just giving it a check in the question section. Thanks for your input, everybody. That's great. Yeah, we talked about what the POC would look like. And I see Daniel added a note. Will the recording of this presentation be shared with participants? Perhaps Pam, I believe that's a yes, if you could chime in on that.
Yes, it will be. I just need a little bit of time to get that prepared. We'll come back with the presentation as well as the recording to get back to you. And as Ted mentioned, this is just one option. We will be, please join us on July 17th. Little bit switch on the topics where we will feature a conversation with Cummins and SDIs, where they will cover AI for claims adjudication, and also will be SAS and Ford conversation about smarter maintenance for claim use, increasing first-time fix rates and things like that, utilizing AI capabilities. But all the information is on our website. And for everyone that's attending today, I'll also give the links back to the website to register for the next 2 events. And then we will all be in person, hopefully discussing some great news and some updates from POCs at the annual conference, October 20th through 22nd. So please continue to get involved, to join us, and become a POC champion, please. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great afternoon, and don't hesitate to contact me anytime, or any of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Al. Thanks, Angela. Have a great afternoon,
Thank you,
too.
Al and
Thank you.
Angela. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.